Which young Florida State offensive skill players are next to step up?
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith. Thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are to the point in the season, games 9, 10, 11, and 12, where freshmen are really no longer freshmen. They've taken enough reps. They've been in the lineup enough. Even Lawayne, BJ, all these guys, Elijah Moore, all of them have played in some capacity and are getting, more importantly, probably reps in practice, learning the offense, because quite honestly, the upperclassmen have been inconsistent. They're going to get more chances. Running backs, there's been a lot of injuries. Even Cam has been banged up. So Micahi Danzy is going to get more chances. Obviously, the tight end position's already begun to see that change, and that would be with Landen Thomas and Amaree Williams, both of which have been good, but they can still take another step. Here are some of the things that I want to know, and I'm sure Florida State fans do as well. Which player or players, hopefully it's at least two, for those of you watching on YouTube on the sidebar, I think it's at least two they need, are going to be go-to guys by end of the year. Landen is kind of on that edge. He had 7 catches for 80 yards a few games ago, but hasn't been as big a part of the offense since. But I think Lawayne, Hykeem, Jalen, all these guys have talent. Florida State needs to find guys that are comfortable, though, with the players at quarterback. Obviously, with Krummenhoek, Brock Glenn, that battle is still going on. I've talked about that. There are other pods here in the last few days discussing the quarterback battle specifically. Go check those out on Locked On Seminoles, whether you check it out on Spotify, Apple, wherever it may be. But again, today I want to talk about the players getting the ball from the quarterbacks. Luke and Brock got to give it to somebody. So let's talk about that. Here are how I'm going to look at it from 5 questions. Number 1, the quarterback's chemistry with these guys. It's paramount. It's paramount, especially receiver and tight end. If you do not have a good chemistry with the quarterback, I don't care what offense you're in, what era it is, the style of play that you prefer, even if it fits, that quarterback must be comfortable with you. Which players are they? And do the coaches feel comfortable as well? This is where it gets dicey with playing those guys because they know the offense and they can do more than just catch. They got to be able to block. They got to be able to run out fakes. They got to do all the little things that make an offense go collectively. That's where freshmen often struggle, especially for the guys that have to block like Landen and Amaree, but they're already in the lineup. So which players have the most chemistry? I'm hoping that the receivers, the young guys, they played some, couple of catches for Lawayne, and I got a few stats up here, targets and whatnot in the last game, but they need to have more effectiveness because, like, just looking at the numbers, he was targeted 5 times, had 2 catches, and it was for 13 yards. It wasn't like Lawayne had big impact, but he caught a screen early, etc. Amaree, he has so far this year 7 targets, 2 catches for 40 yards and a score. Landen, 17 targets, 9 catches, 110 yards, 12.2 average. That's pretty good. And 1 touchdown. Obviously, Amaree with 2 catches for 40. It's 20 yards. Jalen Brown, another young player, has been targeted 15 times, 8 catches, 75 yards, 8.3. That's somewhat disappointing. He's one of the fastest kids I've ever seen in high school. He's from Miami. He is a true track star. They need to have some more of these guys hit the big plays. They're not going to grind out the drives with the way the offensive line is. Some of these young guys can really go. Elijah Moore, I'm surprised he hasn't played more. Maybe he hasn't picked up the offense. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. BJ Gibson starting to get a little bit of a look. Checking out his numbers on Pro Football Focus. He was targeted twice, didn't make a catch, but Elijah Moore, he's had 4 targets, no catches. They didn't get a lot out of the young players yet. But again, they're getting to that point where they just got to give them reps. And they did it against Miami. So the cat's out of the bag. Norvell and his staff want to do that. Number 2, with the chemistry between Brock Glenn and Luke Krummenhoek and the skill guys, if one or the other definitively has a go-to player, that could decide the long-term quarterback battle. You need go-to players, kind of like Florida State did in 23, to win big games. There were moments where most people knew that Johnny was going to get the ball or Keon was going to get the ball, especially when one rotated in and the other one was out. That made it very easy to see who the number one target was. Well, right now, Florida State doesn't have a true number one target. To that point, Malik Benson had 4 targets in the last game, had 3 catches, but he's been inconsistent this year. He did play better in some ways. I'll give him credit, but it needs to be a consistent theme with him. He had the touchdown later in the game. That's great, but they need more consistency from those young guys. Number 3, does the offense pivot more to the tight ends? I thought they were going to do that again. I mentioned this a moment ago. Landen had 7 catches for 80 yards a few games ago. I don't see anything wrong running 12 personnel. You can put one of the experienced guys. You can put West in there. You can put Morlock, whatever, and then rotate Amaree and Landen. Play action, bootlegs, little passes out in the flat. Those guys are athletic. I think that's a good pattern for Florida State to go. And I don't think you can really go wrong with an experienced offense doing that. Not many DBs want to tackle somebody that's 230 and above that's trucking right towards them. Just saying. I'm curious to see if one of those guys takes that next step as a focal point. Again, it's partially chemistry, but the coach has still got to call those plays for them. I'm just as happy to see one of them get a pass out in the flat as I am with Lawayne McCoy, Malik Benson, or anybody else, because it's a different kind of effectiveness, keeps them engaged, and they're just good athletes. For guys their size, they can actually make a few guys miss too. So Florida State is in tremendous shape at the tight end position moving forward. When we come back, we're going to talk about a few more of the young players for the Noles on Locked On Seminoles. All right. Hey, Florida State fans, it's time to recognize the Roy Player of the Week. So far this season, we posted over 20,000 to support players on Roy. Micro deposits lead to massive change. With the Roy app, you can direct your support to the athlete you love, ensuring that all funds go directly to the player of your choice. Unlike collectives, you know exactly where your support is going, and you even receive exclusive content like personal videos and updates after the football season. The best part, it's risk-free. If the athlete transfers or if the athlete doesn't deliver the content, you get your money back. This week, I'm supporting Luke Kromenhoek. He had a good game against Miami. It's a great first showing in terms of extended play. So hats off to Luke. I just pitched in $100, and I hope you do the same. Even $10 makes a difference. Let's show Luke the love and keep him connected to Florida State University. Pay today, celebrate tomorrow. Your support sets the Florida State Seminoles up for success. Please make sure you don't miss out on Roy's exciting giveaway as well. Win 2 tickets to a game in November. Just download Roy, create an account, and enter the referral code LOCKEDON, and you're entered. Already on Roy? That's cool as well. Any contribution to an athlete's campaign also gets you entered automatically. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Download Roy now and join the NIL game with no subscriptions and no fees. And be sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Roy_return on you for more information. Support the players, change the game with Roy. This show is also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL action on FanDuel's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, because right now customers can bet $5 and get $150 back in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of the game. You can check out the latest stats, live play-by-play, and so much more on the page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch in a moment on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. Let's jump back into some more thoughts about the young players for the Noles. It's kind of exciting because as bad as the season's gone, we're seeing the flux of players come into the lineup. Both the quarterbacks are playing. Danzy and Cam Davis, who's been a mainstay since game 1, which I thought he would be. He's a horse, have played. The tight ends are extenuating into different parts of the offense. Hopefully they continue, get stronger, they block more. You got BJ and you got Lawayne, Elijah, all these guys out wide. And then you got the sophomores and redshirt freshmen like Jalen, etc. So question 4, Cam's been banged up, and before anybody asks, I don't know if he's going to play the next game against North Carolina. I don't know if Cam Davis is going to play at any point the rest of this year. Haven't heard a word. But assuming he does not play against Tar Heels, which other receiver, which other tight end, running back, etc., helps take some of the load of just getting the football? Start with running back, because you'd hope that Sam Singleton and Micahi Danzy get more of that. They have a little bit against Miami, but it was a pretty heavy dose of To'Fili and Keziah. I'd like to see a third running back get 5 to 6 carries. It'd be nice, but obviously that's part of the coaches judging what's going on in practice. So which guy do you think it is more likely? Is it Danzy, who's an absolute burner? Is it Sam Singleton, who's pretty darn fast as well, but he's probably more of a traditional running back, one cut and go? Which player is it? Also consider that both these guys can catch. Seeing both of them live in high school, they're not a player. When they turn the corner after a swing pass, many guys are going to be able to catch from behind. Florida State needs to find a way to make at least one of them, if not both of Danzy and Singleton, a part of the passing attack, because they can take it the distance. Next, if you're going to talk about the ability to make big plays with Florida State, which one of these young guys has the ability to learn the playbook and make the coaches feel comfortable to literally just put them in the lineup? I know this is something that fans don't like to hear, but just from being around coaches for the vast majority of my adult life, they hate players that don't know the complete playbook. I know that's kind of an oxymoron with freshmen, especially when the more talented player is a freshman, but they really hate it. That's just the nature of coaches in general. I'm not specifying any particular coach for the Noles, but that's my experience with it. I'm curious to see the snap counts, and I can go over a few here. But again, Florida State, they really didn't do a great job of getting some of these guys in my opinion, because of the stuff I'm talking about. I'm a believer that even if it's 4 or 5 reps, like Micahi Danzy, you can put him in the slot and just run a slot fade. He's got good hands. If that's the only thing you did in that game, it might change how the defense plays against you. That's my perspective on it. But I don't know. It's hard sometimes for teams to understand that as coaching staff, because they want everybody to go through the same process. I get it. But now we're approaching game number 9. That's a lot. I'm really, really, really curious which one of these young guys hits the number. So looking at the snap counts, let's see. Let's go receiver first. The receivers here, just total for the season on some of the young guys. Elijah Moore's played a total of 14. It's not a lot. Lawayne McCoy's played 50. BJ Gibson, 19. Jalen Brown even started a game. He's been in the game quite a bit. 138 snaps. Hykeem Williams was banged up for a while, but he's still at 210. So that's not bad. And to put it in comparison, like Deuce Spann's played 12 snaps all year. So obviously he hasn't made an impression. Other young players in question, Amaree Williams has got 69 snaps. And Landen Thomas up to 149. So that's just some of them. But it's really, really interesting because you look at that group, that's a lot of young talent that's probably needing another spring to completely learn the playbook, and they're still getting a lot of snaps. Let's see here. Totals again, go to running back on this one. Cam Davis, he's at 92 snaps. Micahi Danzy at 13. Sam Singleton, 29. I would think Cam Davis is above 92. I have a hard time believing it's not 150, but whatever. Keziah Holmes, just to put in comparison, like an experienced guy, he's got 26 according to this. I don't know if that's really an accurate number, but that's again what Pro Football Focus has. And finally, rounding it out here, just to put things in perspective, for the season, To'Fili's got 313. So he's your lead back. That's a pretty normal number. So to wrap up here, I think Florida State needs at least 2 guys. At least 2 guys from the freshman, redshirt freshman, and sophomore offensive skill group to truly step up between now and the end of the season. Not only does that help you hopefully beat North Carolina and Charleston Southern, I don't have much faith in the Notre Dame game, maybe beat Florida. Right now, I would probably favor the Gators. Their quarterback situation's in a better spot. But you have a chance with this game coming up to get some of these young guys settled in. I'm hoping they get a ton of reps with the 1s and 2s. That way they're prepared, because the upperclassmen, for the most part, I mean, Micahi There's a few exceptions. They just haven't lived up to the expectations. It's time to see the younger players not only get on the field, but earn even more playing time by making big plays. This is a huge week for these guys in practice to make it happen. Because again, my experience is very simple. Coaches hate players that don't know the playbook, and you got to prove it in practice the week of the game. We'll see how much they play this next weekend against North Carolina. It's going to be interesting. That's all for today on Locked On Seminoles. Please hit that notification bell, that like button, and subscribe to this podcast if you have not already. Truly appreciate it. Share the podcast and comment when you can. Everybody have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.